Thanks for joining us. In our first story, the Supreme Court has set June 7 to rule on the case involving former NCA board chairman Eugene Bafo-Boni and 4 others who are standing trial for causing financial loss to the state. The next hearing session will enable the court to determine whether the Attorney General is required by law to furnish defense lawyers with all documents, including those the AG may not use during the trial. Joining us, Joseph Akable was in court and then joins me live on phone with more. Hello, Joseph. Tell us exactly how today's hearing panned out.
The first issue we need to understand is the fact that for the Attorney General, when that application was made, we know that there are 2 cases that we are talking about. The first one being the NCA case you referred to, again being that of the former Cocoa Board CEO, Dr. Stephen Kwabena Opuni. Now, in both cases, you had the defense lawyers making a request saying that they wanted all documents in the custody of the Attorney General. This included documents they said the AG may not use in court. They wanted a list of witnesses to be brought into the court by the Attorney General, witness statements among others. But the Attorney General had insisted that that was not the position of the law, and that if they intend to submit any documents to the court to bolster their case, they were willing to make those documents available. When the case was called today, presiding judge Justice William Atuguba offered all lawyers present an opportunity to draw the court's attention to any matter that they feel the court should attention to. For Deputy Attorney General Godfrey Yeboah, he told the court that as far as they are concerned, they are with the written argument they are submitted to the court, and if the court doesn't understand anything and wants them that he was ready and willing to do so. Same was the position of the other lawyers, but the court said it was satisfied and will go ahead to give its ruling on June 7. The good thing about this for the state prosecutors and the defense lawyers is the fact that a decision coming from the court will mean that the 2 lower courts that are hearing different high-profile corruption cases can rely on that judgment to decide how their case continues, which will mean an automatic resumption of those cases.
Right, Joseph, so these cases were filed separately concerning the NCA case and then the Dr. Stephen Opuni case. Does that mean that the Supreme Court has joined the cases? How come the 2 lawyers are appearing before the Supreme Court at the same time?
So what happened was that for the NCA case, when that application was made and the lawyers disagreed on what documents to refer to it, the trial judge at the High Court, Justice Eric J. Bafo, wrote to the Supreme Court referring that case to the Supreme Court. In the case of Dr. Opuni, the High Court, rather, Justice Konyeluga, who is an appeals court judge sitting as National High Court judge, he rather ruled that he was putting his trial on hold and waiting the Supreme Court decision on the NCA matter, because in terms of substance, the 2 issues were the same matter. So if the Supreme Court rules, it's automatically binding on all lower courts. So in terms of substantive case that has been referred to the Supreme Court, it's only the NCA case, but the decision from the court will automatically have an impact on the other case as well, Daniel.
Beyond this reaction by the lawyers for the defendants before the Supreme Court, saying that they are willing to provide any further evidence to the Supreme Court, was there any reaction to the Supreme Court's decision?
From the engagements we've had with them connected to the case, they say that they have made the argument. They are simply looking for this decision by the Supreme Court. They say that it has some national implications as well. Okay. I know for a fact it's already a pending case filed by a private legal practitioner, Martin Table, before the Supreme Court. What matter? And it's one issue that lots of defense lawyers have raised in various criminal proceedings, but they've not had access to those documents. So it's one case that, depending on how the Supreme Court rules, the lawyers believe that it has the of changing the entire practice in the country in terms of how cases are prosecuted in various courts across the country, and the kind of prosecution needs to do so. It means that you need to submit all the documents once a request, or otherwise.
Right.
So that is what will be determined by the court.
Thank you very much, Joseph Akable. He's a man in court at the moment. Moving on, the Executive Director of the Institute of Democratic Governance, IDEC, Dr. Amano, has questioned the competencies and productivity levels of the supposed 998 lists of presidential staffers tabled by the president to be engaged by his administration. Speaking on Joy News' late night show PM Express, Dr. Akwete posited President Akufo-Addo, by virtue of the office he occupies as the first gentleman of the state, needs to surround himself with highly competent intellectuals who can effectively advance his agenda. He noted the quest to do this does not necessarily mean engaging large numbers. Instead, the ability of the individuals to be able to execute his agenda efficiently and effectively without any setbacks. He spoke to Nana Ansah-Kwao on the back of the revelation that 998 people were to be engaged by the presidency.
The president needs to be surrounded by highly competent people because he has a certain time limit to do things, and he wants the best, first class, knowledgeable, and so on. So the people who come around him or are in his offices, it's not the quantity, but the quality of people and their tested ability to deliver what he wants. You see, if we have 1,000 people, and we can also prove that actually the value of the work they do generates much more than is spent on them, then it's something then we can say, okay, it's worth it. But if not, and exactly what are they doing becomes an issue. And do they really have the competencies to do the job? That will say the president's agenda is moving forward quickly, is impacting, we are seeing results, and so on and so forth. To the extent that they are not having that kind of high level of productivity, and they are not improving, growth, and the economy is not stronger, and distribution, problems are not being solved, and so on. You want to then ask what happened to decentralization?
Away from issues having to do with the presidency, an interview with some users of painkiller tramadol is revealing high doses of 250 and 300 milligrams of the drug are sold in drinking spots and marijuana bases across Ashanti region. Two users who have been sharing their addiction stories with Love News in Kumasi say they also get their stock from drug peddlers from neighboring countries. They showed Love News' Erastus Asaridonko how they prepare a concoction of 500 milligram tramadol with other substances to give them energy to perform any task. Erastus has more.
Those are the street names of tramadol. We learned on our trip the drug is sold at marijuana joints, alcoholic and street joints, just like banned narcotic substances. We followed them to some drinking spots as they used these code names to purchase 250 milligrams of the narcotic painkiller tramadol. These are two gentlemen who decided to share what they do with tramadol with us, and they bought 250 milligrams. That's 4 tablets. Each contains 250 milligrams of tramadol. And so now they've put 2 tablets, that is 500 milligrams, into this bottle of energy drink, and he tells me that that is what they do every day. The tramadol energy drink solution is taken with a round of marijuana, as they demonstrated. I drink this with a round of marijuana. I drink slowly whilst smoking the weed. I get high after that. I sweat and feel good, prepared for any task. But if you don't eat before taking it, you can faint and foam in the mouth. He told me the market even has 300 milligrams of the drug sold by drug peddlers and at wee bases across Ashanti region. We have another type called white. That is 300 milligrams. I take that as well. But you can get that at Alaba or Mayanka. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaridonko, Kumasi.
The usual bumper-to-bumper congestion at East Legon has completely reduced with the opening of the new tunnel to traffic. The contractors, Sonitra, used 6 months to finish the project, although they say some minor works will still have to be done. Maxwell Agbagba was at the area this morning and reports there was no congestion, and some hawkers were saying they will no longer be able to cash in the usual traffic there.
Currently, here at the 8 Legon Spinters Road underpass, well, what we are witnessing now is what we would want to describe as the opening of this particular underpass. We've been speaking to the contractors working on the project. They are from Sonitra. They have been telling us that they've not really finished the work here at this underpass. There's still about 10% of work that they would have to do to completely finish this project. And the opening of this tunnel that connects East Legon to the Spinters Road and the Spinters Road to the East Legon is to allow them to finish with the works here at this underpass. But today, when you come here, the usual congestion that you experience early in the morning around this time is conspicuously missing, as a lot of drivers are having, a good time driving. In fact, they don't have to spend a lot of time in traffic. Usually, in the past, it took them about 30 minutes, sometimes 1 hour, to move from this point, that is the end of this tunnel, to the other end of the tunnel. It was taking a toll on a lot of the drivers who usually apply this route. That is conspicuously missing right now. What we have observed is that it usually would take them about 10 minutes to make it to the other side to get to the Spinters Road. If they're going to the Central Business District, then they head right from there. For those who are coming from the Spinters Road going to East Legon and its environs, for them, they don't have any situation at all. The road is absolutely cleared for them. They drive with so much ease. The only challenge is for people coming heading to the Central Business District, heading to Accra or to the Spinters Road from this point. That's the only challenge. Even for that one, the waiting time has been reduced completely. We'll be trying to talk to some motorists who are here to find out from them what it means, to them, because we've had many complaints in the past about this particular underpass. Let's get closer and speak to some of the drivers who use this underpass. Let's find out from them what this means to them. Sir, good morning.
Good morning.
Tell me, how many minutes did it take you to get to this place?
Less than 3 minutes.
Less than 3 minutes?
Yes.
On a normal day, how many minutes would it take you to do that?
An hour.
An hour?
Yeah. An hour. Yes. So I would say that it's an excitement news for us to, instead of an hour, using 3 minutes to pass through the tunnel.
Normal day, what would happen is that you just have to be in traffic to be able to get, your food. But today you have to park your car just so you can go grab, food. Yes. Meaning the congestion, has been cleared. Tell me, what's the feeling like?
It's amazing. It's amazing to get to work very early. It's very amazing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many minutes is it taking you now? The driver told me it took you 3 minutes.
Yeah, 3 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll take it here and join from the central, then we join the route from airport, then we'll get to work in early.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Right. You make me feel like, David standing in front of Goliath. Anyway, thanks for talking to us. But, well, you've heard from some motorists who use the underpass expressing their excitement. But one category of people who are not too excited about this, the people who are now, that, previously they used to cash in on the traffic situation here, but now that the congestion has been cleared, and now that it looks like people are not going to spend so much time here in traffic, that is definitely going to affect their business. We've been talking to some of them who are saying that although they are happy for the motorists, business-wise, they are not really too excited. Let's find out from one of the ladies selling wache here. She has agreed to talk to us. Yeah. So let's find out from her. Now the traffic, has been. Well, she says after the construction of this new underpass, there's no longer congestion on the stretch, meaning business is no longer booming as it used to be. So she's contemplating on quitting the selling of the eggs. This is the other end of the tunnel For vehicles moving from Spinters Road to East Legon, Adringano and its environs, this is the stretch where they normally use. A lot of the drivers we've been interacting with are very excited about the congestion that has been cleared on this stretch. Reporting for Joy News, Maxwell Ababa.
So it's definitely going to be an easy drive for you if you use that route. Let's take these important messages now. You're still watching Joy News today. I am Daniel Daze. But stories we've covered so far, the court sets June 7 to rule on the case involving former board chair of the National Communication Authority and 4 others for causing financial loss to the state in connection with the $4 million NCA contract scandal. Still to come, poor management of a landfill site at Shwelugu in the Upper East region causing tension among residents. We'll bring details on today's agenda regarding sanitation. Stay with us for details. Thanks for staying with us. Now, the failure of authorities to properly manage a landfill site at Shwelugu in the Bolgatanga municipality of the Upper East region is causing a stir as community members there complain that plastic waste materials and other poisonous substances from the site are spreading to nearby farms. The residents say one person died last year after drowning in an uncovered pit within the landfill site, and many of their livestock have also died from consuming poisonous substances from the site. Now, Joy News agenda, which concentrates on sanitation across the country, Upper East Region correspondent Albert Sorry filed this report.
Johnson Ayamga is assemblyman for Kumbengo, the community here at Shirigu where this landfill site is situated. He has been in office for only 2 years, and like his predecessors, the poor management of this dump site is a major headache for him as a leader.
This land was acquired in the late 90s by the NCA regime, but this work actually started somewhere 2001, 2002, thereabout. You can see it for yourself, even though it was fenced, but the way we look at things, in fact, it's not properly fenced. You see that when it's rainy season, it rains and then the water, goes all over the, to the rivers or the valleys. So it's near the water is being contaminated. And it's not good for human consumption. It's not also good for animal consumption.
Past and present governments have failed to properly manage this landfill site. More than half of the wire fencing around the site has broken down, and there is no security guard stationed here. Therefore, people and animals gain easy access to the place. The residents here say during the rainy seasons, human excreta is often discharged into this pit located within the landfill, and this has serious implications considering how open the place is.
When it's dry season, like we're in April now, they don't bring feces here. But when it's June thereabout, when the rain sets in, then they bring it. And when they pour it, and then it rains, the whole place gets flooded. And if you don't take time, then you fall on it, then it will be a death trap. So I remember not long that ago, somewhere last year, the rainy season, a brother unfortunately lost his life in an attempt. He just fell into the feces and died.
The landfill site is far away from homes within this community, but all around it are farms belonging to community members. Polythene bags and other plastic waste materials from the landfill site have now spread to some of the farms. Spokesperson for the Shirigu chief, Nso Apasinaba, told Joy News these plastic wastes have adverse effects on their farms and livestock.
All
the water here runs down there, and the farms around make use of it. When a sheep or a goat dies in this community and you cut it open, you will find rubbers in the stomach. The animals come here and chew the polythene bags that sometimes contain food. And since their stomachs cannot digest the rubber, the animals fall sick. And even when you call the veterinary, the animals eventually die, he says. Nelson Apasenaba is a community environment protection volunteer here at Shirigo. He says he and his colleagues have had a difficult time keeping children of the community away from this dump site. He also recounts, just like the assemblyman said earlier, how a young man in this area died last year after he fell into the pit dug on the landfill, ostensibly so that human excreta can always be discharged into it during the rainy seasons.
If it were to be in the rainy season, we could see that here is normally full of water. And then if they are roaming around and mistakenly they fell in, they are likely to die. Recently, one of my brother died here in this pit. He died. He fell inside the toilet and then died. So these are some of the things. Even, the metals, mostly the children, they don't wear sandals before they come. So mostly they get sores and what have you out of the roommates. Yeah.
Johnson Ayamga, the assemblyman, says he has in the past suggested to the Bolgatanga Municipal Assembly ways by which this landfill site can be properly managed. But for almost 2 years now, nothing has been done.
Yeah, we spoke at the assembly level, and I told them, look at the way the refuse dump is. It needs a better construction. That means a wall, not just a fence, but a wall that can get a locker to it. So that anytime a vehicle comes, they can then open and pour the distance. When it's happened that way, you see the refuse cannot balloon out. So we're up to date. Nothing has been happening.
One thing is very clear. What they want the Bolgatanga Municipal Assembly, and for that matter government, to do is to see how they can properly manage this place, perhaps clear all the refuse that is already outside of the fence and on people's farms, and also to construct a fence, a wall fence actually, to replace the wire fence that is here, so that people don't get access to this dumping site, and that the refuse from here doesn't go back into the community. Albert Sorry, Joy News, Senegal.
Let's move on. Have you ever found yourself easily tipsy or hardly in the mood after taking a locally brewed alcoholic beverage known as bitters? You may be feeling right, depending not only on the quantity of drinks, but the brand as well. A student of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology here at University has found most of the brands on the market contain less alcohol than the labels show. Love FM's Kwesi Debra reports.
On a hot afternoon, Amano can't help himself with a bowl of banku and palm soup without his usual bits. Our forefathers used bitters to treat many medical of and helps in long and makes me strong. No purposes or can't be ruled out. Sometimes he has problems with the amount of the substance in the drink. Sometimes you drink some bitters and reach your limit. You drink others expecting to get tipsy, but after 4 or 5 toasts, you still don't feel you have reached your limit. Akwasi Boateng, a final year chemistry student of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, undertook analysis of 20 brands of bitters on the market and found more than half of them have alcoholic content below what brewers advertise. 15% of the products were also found to have higher levels of alcohol than they portray. Only one brand matched both in actual content and label. Mr. Boateng's thesis, supervised by Professor Ray Vorbolo, sought to establish alcohol content and bitters.
That a person will buy more than what he's supposed to buy. Because, for instance, the person can take 40 and it's okay. But hereby the case that after the analysis, I find out that it was 12. So it means that the person will buy more than what he's supposed to buy. So in terms of cost and everything, it will affect the individual.
Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.
Well, I don't know how you feel about that next time you buy yourself a drink. Now, chiefs in the Greater Accra traditional area have advised Ghanaians to respect the ban on noise-making as they commemorate the rites and customs leading to the celebration of the Homo Festival. They've been addressing the media in Accra.
Homo or Hoot at Hanga is the annual festival celebrated by the Gans in the Greater Accra region. It is observed in remembrance of the famine that occurred many years ago and symbolizes new harvest. The festival starts in the month of May with the planting of crops before the rainy season, but it is preceded with a ban on noise making. Addressing the media in Accra, Otublohu Manche Nidodu Insaki II cautioned Ghanaians to pay heed to the ban or risk being prosecuted by a task force that will be on the lookout and warned the public not to bribe anyone.
The ban on drumming and noise making had been a bone of contention between most non-Gans and the indigenes because they claim it impacts on their economic activities. During the period, a monitoring team is put in place to ensure compliance. This is composed of Asafo Acheme, the Wulome, and the Accra Metropolitan Authority. Flashy points are visited and arrests are effected. We expect to go through 2018 year with better success. We must note we occasionally receive complaints about impersonations where imposters go round and seize properties of innocent people. Please beware of such people and report them to the nearest police station after taking any identifications from them and resist any monetary extortions, especially those who are ready to give money to people when they are arrested.
Now, moving on, a national campaign has been launched to tackle problems confronting Ghana's education sector. It comes as the country works towards achieving Sustainable Development Goal number 4, which places focus on inclusive and quality education for all. Jacqueline Johnson-Quay was at the launch and filed this report.
Over the years, the government of Ghana has worked through various policies such as the school feeding program, the building of community day senior high schools, and the free senior high school program to improve education in the country. The National Global Action Week for Education, under the theme Strengthening Citizen Participation and Accountability in Education Management, a milestone for achieving SGD 4, was launched by the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition and would be collaborating with civil society organizations. At a media symposium on Monday, Dr. Bright Appiah, executive chair of the group, expressed the need for stakeholders to be accountable in helping Ghana achieve the Sustainable Development Goal on education.
We are launching this program where we expect everybody to be on board, parents, teachers, education managers, CSOs, to render account in the process. So we say that so far as the SDG 4 is concerned, one of the things that the states must do is to ensure that they live up with its commitment so far as its budget allocation are concerned. We say that everybody must play a role in the process. We also believe that once we also want to hold government responsible for all the things that they are doing in the education sector, as civil society, we also have to be prepared to be accountable in the process. So whatever we do, we also have to show our commitment and be accountable for people to know what we are doing.
Professor Ivan Adai Mensah, former Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Legon, suggested some reforms government needs to focus on in providing quality and equitable resources to improve the education system.
Providing quality and equitable education entails a lot of cost, probably more cost than the cost of increasing access. You can increase access by making the financial burden of education on the individual less burdensome and providing infrastructure. But quality can only be improved if the conditions under which educators work are made more attractive. Pupil-to-teacher ratio, especially at many of the public schools, is very poor. This has to be addressed.
Dr. Angelina Mensah, a representative for the Ghana Education Service, explained that they are working on creating a more inclusive education for underprivileged children in rural areas.
The GES, on its agenda, is trying its best to ensure that supplies go to every part of the country. We have returns from Upper East, Upper West. Even whilst talking to you now, we have sent a team, a monitoring team, to go throughout the country and bring us feedback on the situation in the schools, from infrastructure, furniture, textbook situation, and everything concerning education. Anything that will ensure that there's quality education.
Jacqueline Johnson, Kwe, Joy News.
Still watching Joy News today, I am Daniel Dazi. Amano Abajibiafi comes your way with business.